Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on strengthening Agrovoc through engagement with expert communities, multi-scheme hierarchy, multi-scheme, multi-hierarchy, and thesaurus management. Our presenter today is Emma Subirats from FAO. She's a senior information officer there, and she's the program manager for Agrovoc, for Agris, and Agora. I'm sure many of you know her. So I'm handing over to Emma. Go ahead.
Thank you, Christine. So good afternoon to everybody. So I'm Emma Svidats, and as Christine mentioned, I'm the Agrovoc manager. And we are here today to present the work that the Agrovoc team has been carrying out since 2017, so during the last 2 years. We will focus on how Agrovoc is trying to engage a bit more with expert communities, and we will explain a bit what we mean by multi-scheme, multi-hierarchy, and how we plan, and actually we are doing already, the enhancement of the Agrovoc, the thesaurus management. So for those that don't know much about Agrovoc, let me introduce you a bit more. This thesaurus is a control vocabulary developed in the 80s in FAO, and is covering all the areas of interest of FAO, including nutrition, food, agriculture, fisheries, forestry, economics, and many others. The vocabulary is widely used in specialized libraries as well as digital libraries and repositories, essentially to index content and for the purpose of text mining. But it's also used as a specialized tagging resource for content organization within FAO and by FAO, and also third-party stakeholders. Currently, Agrovoc has more than 36,500 concepts and more than 730,000 terms in 35 languages. And these are languages that have at least 100 preferred labels. Since April 2017, a new Agrovoc team was formed, building on past experience. And we have been focusing on assuring different elements important for the thesaurus like Agrovoc. But mainly, we are focusing on making sure that the community can access to the new content and also the modifications in the vocabulary every month. So we are releasing Agrovoc monthly. We are also consolidating and building a strong Agrovoc editorial community. And the third element that was essential for us was to partner with one of the institutions that are playing a key role, particularly in anything that has to do with the semantic tools that are being used by Agrovoc. This is University of Tor Vergata, and this is ART, Artificial Intelligence Research Group. Currently, Agrovoc can be accessed through, or let's say that the infrastructure behind Agrovoc is composed by different elements that makes Agrovoc easy to access to by humans and also by machines. So the first and probably the most popular one, because it's the one that is helping us to browse Agrovoc, is SKOS, which is an open source web-based browser, SKOS browser and publishing tool. The second one that is helping us to manage the content of Agrovoc is VocBench, which is a tool that is being developed and maintained by Tor Vergata, and is a web-based, multilingual, collaborative development platform for managing ontologies, thesauri, lexicons, and generic RDF datasets. Additionally, we have web services, and we also have a Sparkle endpoint to execute Sparkle queries as desired. Any information about Agrovoc can be found on the URL. Do you have problems listening? The mic is, I have a quite old mic. I'm really sorry. I'm trying to do my best. I hope that you can hear me well. Agrovoc, as probably many of you know, is a link open data compliant, and it's something that has been published also since we moved to the use of SKOS Excel as a concept scheme. We have alignments with more than 20 other multilingual knowledge organization systems related to agriculture. Last year, it was released under the international license CC BY 3.0, and while the copyright for Agrovoc content in FAO, so FAO has the, let's say, the copyright for the FAO languages, which is English, French, Spanish, Arabic, Russian, and Chinese. The copyright for the content in other languages rests with the institutions that authored it. FAO essentially carries mainly the responsibility for the 6 languages that I was mentioning, but also is facilitating the technical maintenance of Agrovoc, including its publication as link open data resource. And we are coordinating all editorial activities, which means that we are supporting the curation of the content of Agrovoc through a vast community of editors and partners, institutional partners. In order to facilitate the process, to suggest new terms, concepts, and as well additions and modifications, new labels to Agrovoc, we are using VocBench, but we are also helping those that might have a bit of trouble using this tool, sometimes by email. This is the list of the Agrovoc editorial partners, consolidated since 2017. So we have institutions from Asia, China, we also have in Iran, we have Czech Republic, France, Germany, Georgia, Hungary, India, Italy, Japan, Laos, Republic of Moldova, Russian Federation, Slovakia, Thailand, Turkey, and Ukraine represented and actively members of this community. We are meeting once a year, and when we discuss the future developments within the community and what kind of enhancements we are planning to do for Agrovoc during the following year. As I mentioned, Agrovoc is available in quite a lot of number of languages, practically 35 languages. This is a figure that helps you to visualize the representation of these languages in the Agrovoc framework. Those, the blue, the strong blue, these are preferred labels, and alternative labels are those that are with a more light blue. After English, the most popular language in Agrovoc right now is Turkish, followed by Czech, Spanish, French, German, etc. In some other cases, we have less representation, but in many cases, we are starting to work with other partners, which is happening with the Brazilian Portuguese. We also have the Norwegian VocMul, and we also have, for instance, recently suggested by one of our editorial members, which is Landporta Swahili. This is an interesting slide that I thought that could help you to understand as well the usage of Agrovoc. So these are the number of accesses that we are receiving, and so far this year, from January to September, which is about 40 million URI accesses. We plan to really improve this, and we hope that in the next year, improving as well the quality of the service, we can help the community to use even more our infrastructure to help to be more fair, let's say, when we exchange data. This figure represents a fragment of the Agrovoc concept scheme. And Agrovoc, as I mentioned, is using the SKOS Excel concept model. And in this figure, circles are used to represent objects with URIs. Boxes are used for literal values. Concepts are anything we want to represent or talk about in our domain and are represented by terms. And a concept could also be considered the set of all terms used to express it in various languages. Terms usually, and actually have to be, used to name the concept and can be done in different languages. For instance, in the figure you see mice with literals in Chinese and also alternate labels, etc., and so and so on. In SKOS as well, hierarchical relations between concepts are expressed by predicates, SKOS broda, SKOS narrower, and they correspond to the classical thesaurus relationships, broda, narrower, pt, and t. This is a screenshot to represent this model into, let's say, a real concept. It's an instance of SKOSmos, the one that is used by Agrovoc. And in this case, soilless culture is represented on the top by broad narrow concepts. So there is a relationship with other concepts in Agrovoc that are related in that sense. Then in the middle, what you can see is the translations, the terms for this particular concept. Those that I'm sure you can see, but those that are in bold means that they are preferred terms. Those that are not bold and which I cannot see very well, but less black are alternative terms. In the bottom, you will see the alignments with other vocabularies. And is the part that is giving the component of link open data to Agrovoc. So this is an introduction about what probably many of you knew about Agrovoc so far. Agrovoc is a link open data set, is a thesaurus, is very much populated. There is a community maintaining it, etc., etc. What has been happening during the last 2 years is that the Agrovoc team at FAO has received several requests from different types of stakeholders asking for support, either to develop vocabularies related to communities of experts or specialized information services, but as well, in many cases, asking for advice and expertise. What is what these stakeholders are looking for? Essentially, what they are requesting is the usage of the Agrovoc URIs in their own vocabularies. They are also interested in getting, benefiting of the infrastructure that Agrovoc already has in place. For instance, including the concepts that they are using in their communities, in their organizations, in their information services in Agrovoc, and converting these concepts in an Agrovoc concept. Essentially, what they want what they ask for is knowledge sharing. So how can we as communities can benefit of all the knowledge that you have in Agrovoc and share it with us? Well, this was a kind of challenge, because having analyzed the current functionalities that we have in Agrovoc and the possibilities to really accommodate this kind of requests, we found that even though we were having SKOS XL allowing us to assign concepts to one or more vocabularies, so concept scheme, we were finding that there were two big elements in this context that were not helping as such. So one was the fact that hierarchical relationship is independent to the schema. So it means that if two or more concepts are assigned to two vocabularies, they will share, if present, the same hierarchy. Therefore, if a community wants to integrate their small vocabulary in Agrovoc, they will have to use the relationships that are in Agrovoc, which has a vast quantity of concepts, and therefore this hierarchy might not have any sense in the conceptual context that they are working on. Another challenge is that any change to the hierarchy in one scheme will be also displayed in the other scheme. So therefore, Agrovoc will be always maintaining the hierarchy in any kind of a scheme that is within our vocabulary. So this was probably the big challenge that we found, and that made quite impossible to really provide answers, positive answers to the requests that we were receiving. But at a certain point in time, what we started to think was whether it could be or would be possible to accommodate in the software that Torbegata is maintaining, which is VocBench, the possibility to really help us in managing multi-schema and multi-hierarchy elements. They accepted, and in fact, very recently, Workbench 3 has had these two elements available in the new release. So this gave us the possibility to start thinking about Agrovoc as a kind of more semantic service, and to help the Agrovoc to start thinking about moving forward to get all the communities involved, rather than only the Agrovoc one. So specialized concept schemes are now possible within Agrovoc using custom hierarchical properties, and this means that a control vocabulary can be viewed flexibly and edited with its customized relationships, or can be also exported with a generic SKOS hierarchy of broader and narrower relationships without changing the hierarchy of Agrovoc itself. So I hope that this slide is going to help you to understand more graphically what we have done. So you see the schema Agrovoc with the property SKOS broader, and you see another schema that is now coexisting within our infrastructure in the ecosystem of Agrovoc, which is ASFA. And we have a single concept, which is marking. In the context of Agrovoc, this concept has particular relationships, SKOS broader relationships, to four concepts. These relationships, when you go to the schema ASFA, are not existing, and marking has another relationship, which is called branding. This means that ASFA can really make use of the concepts that we have in Agrovoc, but they are not attached anymore to the hierarchy that we have. So the concept is the same, and is with the same URI, but it's just the broader and narrower relationships that are different in each schema. This opens the doors for some very interesting potential collaborations with specialized communities. Their vocabulary could be hosted by FAO, by Agrovoc, and the vocabulary would enrich Agrovoc at the same time. And they could have the possibility to use our URIs, but they could develop their own hierarchy, they could have their own export, they could have their own display. So the engagement with specialized communities is supposed to be helping us to enhance the quality of Agrovoc content, and also the quantity, if necessary and when necessary. In return, Agrovoc service is providing the tools and infrastructure needed for any community, any service to deliver a standardized and interoperable data, and therefore we are helping to have more fair data available on the web. The main idea in dealing with multi-scheme in Agrovoc is that each concept must always belong to the main scheme. So it must be in a specific place in the Agrovoc hierarchy. The schemas that we have in Agrovoc, additionally to Agrovoc, they have to have all the concepts always present in Agrovoc. Then the concept may or might not belong to a different scheme. And if it does, it should, or even better, it must belong to a specific place in the hierarchy associated to that scheme. So essentially what we are saying is, well, just use the concepts of Agrovoc. You have to have all your concepts in your schema in Agrovoc, and then you can develop your vocabulary. So if there is any chance that the vocabulary needs particular properties related to the concepts, this is something that potentially can also be granted through agroontology, which is one of the backbones behind Agrovoc. So it's pretty flexible, as you can see. One of the current scheme present in Agrovoc, here is Landboc, and I saw that Lisette from the Land Portal Foundation is with us this afternoon. So the Landboc is one of the is a current concept scheme within Agrovoc, and is maintained and curated by the Land Portal Foundation. It has 270 terms and related to land governance, and they are right now implementing a separate hierarchy in VocBench. So, and this is a visualization of what we are doing, particularly in the case of the Landvoc. So this is a screenshot taken from the VocBench, where you can see the concept collective ownership. And this concept belongs to two separate schemes. For Landvoc, collective ownership is a top concept, as you see from the red arrow on the top. While it's a different, is in a different place when we talk about Agrovoc, which is the screenshot that you see in the bottom, the right, which is coming from SKOS. In the screenshot on the left, you will see that there is a scheme, SKOS scheme, and you will see that there are two URIs. This is the meaning that this concept is present and being used by two different schemes. It's important to note that in this context, each scheme can be viewed flexibly and separately, edited, which is customized relationships, and or exported with a generic SKOS. That the newly added scheme will benefit from translations and alignments already in Agrovoc. So, for instance, if the Landvoc includes a concept that is not present in Agrovoc, or let's put it in a different way, they want to link a concept that is in Agrovoc to the Landvoc that has been already translated into several languages, they are automatically get all the labels in all the languages. At the same time, Agrovoc is enriched, as I said before, so with this new vocabulary, which needs to be mapped as well to the Agrovoc's hierarchy. And I'm glad to show you this slide, which is quite recent. I must say that VocX, which is in the bottom, is very, very new. This is the visualization through SKOS, so the possibility to browse through this scheme in different instances. Yeah? So you have ASFA, which is the one for fisheries, that has 6,551 concepts. You have VocX, which is quite tiny, it's 330 concepts. And then you have Agrovoc, which has the 36,000 concepts. People can browse all these schema in different tools. And they can do it either using our infrastructure, like in this case, where you can see the logo of FAO, or they can also export the RDF and they can do the visualization from their own systems, like, for instance, what Landvoc has done. And to close this presentation, I would like to highlight some short text that was published in 2018, a paper, Sustainability in Data and Food by Dan Aleman, where he was really mentioning the importance of vocabularies like, for instance, Agrovoc, and how how important it is to really have these semantic tools to help us to link data and to be interoperable, and etc., etc. So this is it. We try to be brief. We know that's a kind of complex thing that you might want to know more about technically. So we would be happy to really have a webinar where we explain how technically the multi-scheme and the multi-hierarchy management works. This was just a first, let's say, touch with the community to explain you where we are in Agrovoc, what we have been doing, and what are the plans that we have, and to welcome also your participation, if you like, into our Agrovoc framework. Thank you.